Good morning and welcome to Rose Red Homestead, where the major focus of our channel is to be prepared for uncertain times. And we do that with videos that focus on self-reliance, emergency preparedness, and food security. We have had at least one person misunderstand the reason why we are doing these make and freeze meals, accusing us of not being aware of the signs of the times and how we need to prepare. Well, this is most definitely part of preparation. In fact, we're going to kill a couple of birds with one stone today. We also often get asked, can't you please feature recipes for one person or for two people? Well, actually, when you really think about it, and I'm thinking of maybe doing a book on this, I don't know for sure. Let me know your feelings on this. But when I heat up the oven to make a meal for Jim and me, or when I heat up the stove, or when I prep a bunch of ingredients for a meal for us, from my perspective, I don't want to do that for just two people. It is a use of electrical energy, it is a use of my energy, and with just a little bit more effort and no more electricity or gas energy consumption, we can make a meal like we're going to be doing today that would serve 6 people, maybe more, but we will freeze the leftovers and have that in our freezer. And that is part of our level 1 food storage, where we integrate our freezer, our refrigerator, and our pantry. And so today we're going to be doing something I think is just incredibly efficient. And that is, we're going to make lasagna, but not layering it in the pan the way I have always done it. I happened to see just a picture online, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago that triggered this idea. When I make a full pan of lasagna, which I always do, I don't ever make lasagna for 2. And then when it is cooled and I'm trying to get it in the plastic bag, sometimes those layers they're slippery and they'll slide off and fall apart and not be as holding together or as nice looking as they are when we serve it for an evening meal right out of the oven. Well, we're going to be rolling up lasagna noodles today in individual servings, which I think is a fantastic idea if it works. So this is part experiment and part delight as we do this lasagna in roll-up fashion instead of layered fashion, and then we will see how this works out. So if you are a 1-person household or a 2-person household, this recipe is really for you as much as it is for a family of 4 or 6, because you can modify how you package and freeze up the leftovers. I used to make 2 pans of lasagna and stick 1 pan in the freezer. Then when I would get ready to serve the second pan, here would be this great big pan, and I had a large family, so I needed a lot. This great big pan that would take all day to thaw. Well, I've learned a little bit differently, and now even if I had a large family, I would be doing these individual servings so that I could pull out families, at least our family, as much as we wanted to have the whole family sitting around the table for supper. When the kids got older, became teenagers, were involved in all kinds of sports and drama and music, things after school, we didn't always have our full set of 8 sitting around the table. And so being able to have things in individual servings really serves lots of purposes for many different size families. So here we go. I have everything all ready to go. You will find the recipe once again on our Make and Freeze Meals handout. And you can find that by going to our webpage, and I always put the URL just right here for you. Once you get to that page, just click on recipes and scroll down to where you find Make and Freeze Meals. And it will have, that handout will have all of the Make and Freeze meals we have done so far, and now it will include this one. So if you have a favorite lasagna recipe, use that. This is just the one that I usually use, and I I have even tweaked it a little bit from what I usually do. It calls for 24 ounces of marinara sauce, but since I've started canning my own Italian meat sauce, I just went and got a quart of that from our shelf, and it's right here. So this is the cheese mixture right here. It is a mixture of mozzarella, Parmesan cheese, and ricotta, along with an egg and some fresh parsley from our garden. This is our meat sauce. Not only is it 1 quart of our meat sauce off the shelf, but I added another pound of hamburger and some oregano, some salt and pepper, and some extra onion. And so it is adjusted just a little bit, and it's now a nice thick meat sauce to go over the lasagna noodles. Over here, I have the lasagna noodles. So the first thing that I'm going to do is remove the noodles from the dripping wet water and put them on this clean dish towel. I want to dry these off a little bit so there's not so much moisture. And I'm going to do about 5 at a time. About 4 at a time. That's much better. Okay, now I'm going to put, about 1/4 of a cup of cheese on each one of these. And spread it out in a thin layer. With the sides less wet and more tacky, they might stick to each other. Now I went off camera for a minute and got a smaller pan. I think it's going to fit easier what we've got. Then I'm going to just drizzle some meat sauce down each one. Washing hands. Okay, now rolling up. I need to put a little sauce in the bottom here. We'll get some friends in there in just a second to help hold each other up.
My noodle friends.
Noodle friends. Okay, I'm going to clear all this off this pan, save it because we'll use it on the top, and I will repeat this until we have our full dish done, and then we'll be back. Well, if that wasn't fun, we have now a total of 15. Now, we started in a larger pan, learned right away that that pan was going to be too large, so I switched it out for one of the smaller of these nested baking dishes that turned out to be just right. Most likely this recipe will make between 12 and 15, depending on what marinara sauce you use or what kind of sauce you use. I was able to stretch the cheese to the 15. Now, in this little bowl, I scraped up all of the leavings from the baking sheet after I did the roll-ups because things squished out the sides and edges. I'm going to add that to the meat sauce because mostly it's meat. And then I'm going to just mix this up together. Now, because I used a quart of our own meat sauce, this is probably going to be a little bit more than you may have left if you go with just the 3 cups instead of the 4 cups as mentioned in the recipe. And I'm just going to spoon this over the top. It's going to sink down inside. It's going to go along the edges, down to the bottom. Then I'm going to take about 1.5 cups of mozzarella cheese and go over the top. Jim really loves lots of cheese.
It's going to be a gooey mess.
And then with some heavy-duty foil that's extra long, I'm going to make a tent I want it up above that cheese. And we're going to go ahead and put this in a 375 oven for about 30 to 45 minutes. Now, my oven runs hot, so I'm going to do mine at 350. But between 350 and 375, your choice, depending on your oven. And we'll bake these until it becomes lasagna, and then we'll bring you back. Well, I think we have confirmatory evidence. I'm losing it. So here is what we have. And they look great. They look just fine. But as soon as we put these in the oven, I went right to my computer and started typing up the recipe. And as I came to the part where I was rolling up the noodles, I realized, why did I stand them up like this? They should have just been laid down flat, seam side down. So, sorry about that. I just got it in my head that the best way to do it would be to stand them up. And while they're okay, and we'll make these work, the recipe, when you download it and run it off, will say to lay them down seam side down. These look like a marching band with cheesy hair, but they're going to work fine. And there's plenty of sauce around the bottom that I'm going to be scooping up and putting in the individual bags. So we're going to let these cool, and then I'll come back and show you how we're going to package them up for freezing. So we'll be back very shortly. Well, everything is cool enough that we're going to start packaging these up. Now, we want enough for supper tonight, and Jim and I have determined that 3 is the right number for us to put away for our meals. So I'm going to take these first 3 and lift them right into this little package here. And we're going to grab a little bit of the extra sauce to put in there. And this will be our dinner for tonight, but it's hours before supper time, so we're going to refrigerate these. And here is our supper. So Jim told me that he had thought, when I was standing them upright, that laying them down flat with a seam side down would be a better option, but he did never say anything to me. You're not afraid of me, are you, honey?
Not at all, but I'm sure that you would have said no.
He assumes. And I'm sure many of you were saying, you need to lie him down, you need to lie him down, yelling into your screens. Sorry, I didn't hear you. So here's another 3. We're going to see if they will fit right here in this little bag.
You may need a gallon bag for that.
Well, I need something else, that's for sure. So we'll see if it fits. May not. He may be right. He usually is.
I think you lucked out.
Honey, it wasn't luck. It was pure powers of observation. I'm a scientist, you know.
Oh, is that what?
So I need to wash my hands before I can seal that, so I'll just save that. But that one worked just fine. So let's see if we can get another one here. Oh, I need to get some of the sauce, extra sauce in this one. And I think this time I will start with the extra sauce. And very carefully separate these 3. Okay, I'm getting the hang of it. So there's one to be sealed. And with the last of the sauce. Okay, these are still a little bit warm. Then we'll let them cool completely and put them out in the freezer, and this will be 4 meals for us. So this lasagna recipe is going to be good for 5 meals for us, which means that in terms of level 1 food storage, that we will have 4 more meals out there in our freezer working toward, and you know, I rotate through them all the time. These are so wonderful for us for taking camping and just to have out there in the freezer. Our target is 60 days of meals in level 1 with the integration of our freezer, refrigerator, and pantry. So in this particular case, we took the noodles from the pantry. We took the meat from the freezer and thawed it. And then we also, from our pantry, took a quart of the meat sauce. So that's what I'm talking about when I talk about the integration of those 3 things. So this is a beautiful way for us to be prepared for uncertain times, is to have 60 days worth of meals plus our backup storage in levels 2 and in level 3 that can then filter down so that we can always be prepared and have enough food for hopefully for a year eventually. So thank you so much for being with us. We welcome new subscribers. Thank you so much for joining our community. We think it's the best community on YouTube. So we will see you very soon for more videos.